please don't make the same mistake I did. I'm telling you, you don't want it. If you have a UK driver's license, and worst of all, you actually do drive in the UK, please take that driver's license back to the DVLA, or cut the driver's license up like you would a credit card. Just do anything. Dispose of that license and never drive in this country again. I'm gonna tell you why this is paramount to your success if you have the misfortune of driving in the UK. That's one. So I'm gonna talk about learning how to drive, what the conventional way is to learn how to drive in the UK. Then I'm gonna talk about how I learned, because I didn't learn conventionally, best believe. And then I'm gonna talk about getting the license and what it's actually been like driving in this UK. Now, before I even get into that, I know what you're thinking. Oh my goodness, Dylan. Your face is so oily. Your beard is glistening. Beard. Why are you so oiled up? Now I'm gonna address this because I know this is a pressing question. The reason I'm oiled up is because actually a subscriber, and more importantly a friend of mine, actually requested that I oil up for the next video. Now, me being a good friend, an even better YouTuber and content creator, at least trying to be the best that I can, I decided to oblige in his request because that's just how amazing I am. Now granted, I actually do oil up a bit more often, but I do that on a separate platform. And if you are interested, my OnlyFans link is actually www.onlyfans.com/. So learning how to drive in the UK, the way that most people learn, firstly in the UK, people tend to learn manual. You can learn automatic, but people tend to learn manual. Now, me being American, I wasn't particularly interested in learning how to drive a manual car. I wasn't that bothered about putting my foot down on the clutch pedal, making sure that I get to roughly 1500 RPMs before, I put it in first gear, if that's even the right thing to do, I don't even know. Then slowly taking my foot up off the clutch, and then, the car's moving, and then I start switching from first gear to second gear and moving around and clutch. I'm not interested. I don't care. I'm just not interested. So I just learned automatic, like any sane-minded individual. Now, you'll have people in the UK saying, "Hey, well, you should have learned manual. You're not driving a real car. You're just driving a go-kart." Do you know the crazy thing? Is that those same people that were telling me, "You're not driving a real car, you're driving a go-kart." All the people saying that doing that tomfoolery and that nonsense, they be asking me for rides. Isn't that crazy? How you gonna sit passenger seat in a car that's driving you from where you are to where you need to go and say that that's not a real car? I don't know. That's kind of interesting. That's just a little side note. So learning how to drive, you have to learn manual. That takes longer because it's way easier to drive automatic, obviously. And then you have to, typically what people do is you book a driving instructor, and then you spend days and weeks and months, and for some people even years, with that instructor, paying them. And they don't charge cheap. The cheap ones are maybe 20 an hour. Most of them, especially if you live in an expensive city like London, be charging you 35 plus an hour, 40 even more. Crazy extortion prices, bro. Me and, my family, my dad primarily, being Nigerian, we weren't interested in doing all of that. So my dad was like, "You know what? I'll teach you." And the way that happened is that we had this Land Rover, right? This 2009 Land Rover, and this car was so miserable. It was always in the shop. Or always at the mechanics. Repairs. The brake is messing up. The fuel gauge is messing up. The lights coming up on the dashboard every 2 seconds. That car was miserable and expensive. Spent way more to fix and maintain it than he ever did to purchase it outright. So at one point, for like the 85th time, when the car was at the mechanic gave my dad like a old 02 Honda Civic, a little car, just to drive around, while his car's in the shop, because his car was at the shop for weeks plus. So my dad initially was like, "Well, I don't really want to teach you how to drive in this big SUV Land Rover. It's a bit bulky and, it's not the best to learn." But as soon as we had that little beater car, my dad was like, "All right, cool. You're going to learn how to drive now." There was no warning. He was just like, "Yep, you're going to learn how to drive now." Cool. So this was on a Monday. After my dad would come back from work in that beater car, he'd be like, "Yep, time to learn how to drive." I had no say. I had no choice. I was like, "All right, cool." So I get in the car. This is on a Monday, guys. After my dad gets back from work on a Monday. on a Monday, that is the first time I'm really sitting in the driver's seat. I've put the key in the ignition. I've turned it. I've started the car. I'm learning what PRND, or, you know, for the driving gurus and nerds, Prindle. I'm learning what that means. I'm learning how to look at the speedometer, the gas. I'm seeing everything for the first time. My first time ever actually being in a driver's seat. And this is how you know that my dad is so Nigerian. By Wednesday, my dad was like, it's time to go on the highway. It's time to go on the motorway. And for some reason, my mom is with us. I don't know who invited her. I don't know why she's here, because she was not helping. As I'm driving on the motorway, I am panicking, bro. And I'm holding the steering wheel. I'm gripping it so tight. And obviously, you know, the last thing you need to do when you're driving, generally, and especially on the motorway, is to grip the steering wheel very firmly, because you need to be loose. You need to be able to turn and swerve and curve. So obviously, me driving straight, I start driving and the lanes are curving. I start driving into other people's lanes, damn near hitting people. My dad starts screaming, Aki, you need to follow the road now. Can you not see the lane? You see the lane is bending and you're just driving straight. Two people. I kid you not, my mom is in the back seat. She starts doing up, Heavenly Father, I come before you. And I'm just thinking, like, broski, like, we not even religious like that. Why are you praying in the back seat? You are not helping me right now. So after a few weeks of learning, I was able to drive very comfortably. So my dad's bullish, very direct, upfront approach actually ended up working, because driving really and truly is just confidence. So once you get over that little confidence on being scared, you'll be able to drive wherever. I was able to comfortably drive proficiently, maybe after like 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, I was able to drive very comfortably, like with my dad, obviously, but very comfortably. After that, it was maybe a year plus until I actually ended up taking my driver's test. Now, I know what you're going to ask. Dylan, you have your provisional, you've passed your theory test, and you're able to comfortably drive, but you didn't take your driver's test until a year later? What happened in between? How did you practice? You had to go back to uni. What did you do? How were you able to practice your driving? And this is my answer to that question. Mind your own business, okay? Like, it's actually not your business. Now, we get to my driver's test, right? And this is on my birthday, on my 21st birthday. Get to my driver's test. And I've never had a driver's lesson, by the way. Never spent a penny on a driver's lesson. I had one mock test that I passed, but never took a single driving lesson. And I'm probably one of the very few people in the UK that even did that. Cool. Get to my driver's test now, and I'm driving, you know, I'm cruising, I'm chilling, and it was like a older white lady that was my driving test instructor, and this how I knew I was finna pass. So I'm driving, and she was looking at me, she was like, so Dylan, like, so what do you do? Like, you know, what do you do? And I was just like, oh, you know, I'm just a student, you know, I'm just a student, you know. She's like, oh, what do you study? Where do you go? I was like, yeah, you know, I go here and I study computer science with AI. She was like, oh, that's so cool. But so as soon as she did, I knew she was comfortable. I knew she said, this nigga can drive. I trust him with my life. I'm chilling. So I knew I was finna pass. That was a done deal. So the test was fine. Now we get to having the license and actually driving. Oh, brother. Oh, Lord. I thought getting the license was a hassle. Boy, oh boy. Actually driving in this country is so miserable. And it's miserable for a multitude of reasons. Firstly, the drivers in the UK, one thing I realized ever since getting a driver's license is that people actually don't know how to drive. Like, people just get behind the wheel, they learn how to start the car, they learn how to move the car, but they don't actually learn how to drive and follow the rules accordingly, because people drive like imbeciles, bro. Insane. I don't even know how some of them, I think a lot of them finesse the license, because no way, with the type of driving I see on the road on a daily basis, did you genuinely, legitimately pass your driver's test. Cool. I be driving and driving, and one thing I noticed is that you see you BMW drivers and you Volkswagen drivers, but let me be very clear. It's not just BMW drivers or Volkswagen drivers. It's the BMW drivers in that little 1 Series. You know who you are. That little old 1 Series. Y'all niggas. And then the people in the Golfs, the Volkswagen Golfs, you people drive like madmen. I can't even stay in the far right. I couldn't dream of it, because every 2 seconds I'm getting tailgated by one of you BMW or Volkswagen people. Just leave me alone, bro. Go away, please. Please go away. All right, cool. Anyway, so I'm going to tell you a story about driving, or at least about an incident that happened while I was driving. Now, this is how I knew that British people, or at least people that drive in the UK, are so unhinged. I'm on a dual carriageway, and if you don't know what that is, look it up. I get to the far right lane of that dual carriageway because I need to make a U-turn because I'd be missing directions a lot. Like, it is what it is. I'm making a U-turn now. There's this white van that's way far away on the opposite side of the road. Low-key, I look kind of muscular, you know. Anyway, sorry. He was way on the other side of the road, bro. As I'm performing the U-turn maneuver, this nigga speeds up to try to cut me off. Now, obviously, because I'm just such a proficient, capable driver, I was able to still get out in front of him without any of us dying, thank God. But I complete the U-turn and I'm in front of him. Granted, I'm with my cousin. He's sitting in the front seat, and my cousin's friend, that they both came to visit Manchester, and they invited me out with them. So my cousin passenger side, my cousin's friend in the back, and I'm driving. Bro, I kid you not. This nigga in the van, after he's behind me, since I obviously got in front of him after I did my U-turn, he speeds up. He goes to the other lane, overtakes me, speeds up, then cuts back into my lane and slams the brakes. He brake checks the living shit out of me, bro. So obviously he slams the brakes. I have to slam the brake as well so that I don't hit him, because it'd be my fault if I hit him since I'm hitting him from the back. Pause. Anyway, so this nigga then proceeds to park up in the middle of a dual carriageway, basically a highway, bro. He parks up. So me and this random van driver are parked up on a highway. I don't know if you guys are deep in what I'm saying. I don't know if you guys are able to comprehend what I'm saying. We are parked up on a highway. Other cars are doing 40, 50, 60 past us. We're parked up. He opens his door, slams it, walks over to my car and starts like yelling at me and doing crazy hand gestures to my window. And you know the funniest part about this? This nigga asked me to bring my window down. Imagine. Does he think I'm stupid? Does he think I have some type of mental disability? Am I dumb enough to bring the window down when he obviously wants to attack me? I just kept my window up. I hit this little button, wait for the sound. You hear that? Press that little button before he even came to the car, and I was just looking at him like this. And then after that, after about 5 minutes of yelling, he gets back in his van and then speeds off. That's just one isolated incident. Drivers in this country are miserable and insane, which obviously, you know, what can you do about it? So now, after I've had such trauma and such pain in my life from driving this country, that's not even the worst part. There are so many rules, regulations, and if you guys remember the first video, bureaucratic garbage that just makes driving absolutely miserable. Let's talk about it. So, if you drive in the UK, you have to get an MOT if your car is older than 3 years or something like that, which is basically like you have to pay every year to get it checked up and make sure that it's roadworthy, which is so silly to me, because if your car can drive, why do I need somebody to tell me, yes, your car can drive? You know that car that you drove here? I can confirm that you can drive it. Yes, silly. You have to pay for that. Then you have to pay road tax. Then you have to, bro, the tickets in this country, it is a multi-billion-dollar industry. The tickets are insane. Parking tickets, speeding tickets, if I ever got one of those. Traffic tickets, you drove in a bus lane, you parked here for 20 minutes, but the legal maximum is 18.7 minutes. Bro, the amount of parking tickets I've gotten, PCN. If you drive in this country, you know those 3 letters, PCN. You probably have nightmares about them. Parking charge notice. I've gotten them in Manchester. I've gotten them in London. I've gotten them in Kent. I've gotten them probably in Birmingham. I've gotten them all around this miserable UK. It is impossible to find parking. I've gotten tickets because I drove in a bus lane. I've gotten tickets. Y'all need to stay with me on this one. You know how, like, there's this whole saying or like little idiom or, you know, figure of speech, whatever you want to call it, where people say, oh, if they could charge you for oxygen, they would charge you for oxygen if they could. They just can't find a way. No, they actually found a way. There's congestion charges and ULEZ, which is like if you drive a car in a clean air zone, you have to pay money because this air is clean, but you drove your nasty, stinky, dirty car in the area, and so you have to pay for that. Bro, it is diabolically whimsical how they can manufacture charges and just send them to your house, bro. There's cameras everywhere. They take a picture of your car, use your details, find your whole life story, and send you the most nonsensical, silly bill in the post. And if you don't pay, it goes up. And you know what happens when it goes up? You're probably less likely to pay because it goes up to such an extortionary price. And then it keeps going up and up and up and up and up till somebody even shows up at your house and clamps your car because you didn't pay a parking ticket because you parked in a place that only allowed 10 minutes of free parking, but you parked for 11 minutes. Bro, it's insane. I don't know if I can do it anymore. I've been brave. I've been courageous. I don't know if I have it in me. Driving is miserable. Tickets, fines, rules, clean air. Like, come on, guys. Come on. But, you know, if you are somehow able to drive and do it, then, you know, all the power to you. Good job. But man, I would not recommend it. Public transport, while it may not be the best or the most convenient, driving is a big pain in the backside in this UK, this United Kingdom. But that's it. That's the app sesh for now. As always, this is strictly educational. This is not advisory. You can like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. That's all I got for now.